AFC Conference Championship. And we have Cincinnati opening up at +7 at -104. There's been a 1 cent move towards them. That's it at Pinnacle. A 1 cent move towards them from a totals perspective. It opened up at 53.5. It's now at 54 at Pinnacle. That's juiced to the over. There are 54.5s on the board. We have been waiting for this to move, this spread, because just 35% of the public back in the Bengals, but 83% of the cash. That's with 20,793 tickets in. I've been waiting to see if it would move or at least get more juiced, and it hasn't happened. I say that because I moved today on the Bengals +7 at -110. When it comes to the total, the public is on the over. 70% is on the over, but the big bets are made on the under at this point. 70% of tickets on the over, 35% of the cash. And that was similar to what happened in the Chiefs-Bills game, where the public was on the over, but the big bets were coming in on the under. And we saw all the books at 55 or 54.5, but Pinnacle was at 54. And there was a time when all the books were at 55, Pinnacle 54, saying that the sharp money was on the under. That did not come to fruition. And will it come to fruition here? Let's get to work. Cincinnati Bengals 10-7, 5-3 on the road during the regular season. Chiefs 12-5, 7-2 at home. Weather's going to be nice. 45 Fahrenheit, sunny, 3 miles per hour is the wind. Bengals coming off an impressive 19-16 win at Tennessee in Nashville. They're now in the franchise's first AFC Championship games in 33 years. Their weak offensive line got tormented by the Titans' front seven. They allowed 9 sacks, 13 hits on Burrow, but they did enough good things in other phases of the game to squeak out the victory. Burrow, 28 for 37, 348 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Jamar Chase caught 5 passes for 109 yards. T. Higgins caught 7 for 96. Uzoma caught 7 for 71. Joe Mixon ran 14 times for 54 yards, caught 6 passes for 51 yards. Rookie Evan McPherson was 4 for 4 in field goals. He converted for his 11th field goal from 50 yards or longer, the most in the season for one player. He also became the first kicker in NFL history with at least 4 or more field goals in multiple games in a single postseason. Logan Wilson patrolled the center of the defense. 8 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, 1 interception. They looked very good alongside Jermaine Pratt. They also got interceptions from Mike Hilton and Jesse Bates. Chidobe Awuzie and Eli Apple have been very good in the secondary on the outside, and Jesse Bates and Hilton have been very strong inside. Von Bell was the only Bengal to register a sack. The defense bent but didn't break. They handled the loss of Larry Ogunjobi very well. Trey Hendrickson cleared from a concussion that knocked him out of last week's wildcard win. Went to the sideline with 1:46 left. He's not on the injury report. Defensive end Cam Sample left the game with a groin injury. Josh Tupou is dealing with a knee injury. Both are day-to-day and questionable. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson have looked good in the pass rush. Good. DJ Reader can step up and stop the run. The Bengals faced the Chiefs in Week 17. They beat them 34-31 at home. Burrow put up 446 yards passing. They held Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to a combined 11 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Only 17 targets in Week 17. And Chase destroyed the Chiefs all over the field. 11 catches, 266 yards, 3 TDs. We have to think Spagnuolo is not going to let that happen, which will open up opportunities for Boyd and Uzoma. The Bengals have covered the spread in 6 consecutive games, including 4 consecutive as underdogs. And I can't wait to hear what Dutch Boy Fresh is going to do if he's interested in any player props with them. But before we get to the Bengals, let's just open up the Chiefs and completely hand it over to you. The Chiefs come in off winning one of the most exciting games in NFL history. 42-36 at home over the Bills. Mahomes and Allen each threw for at least 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, completed at least 70% of their passes without an interception, and led their team with at least 65 yards rushing. No other quarterbacks in NFL history have ever done that before in regular season or playoffs. That's how special it was. Mahomes went 33 of 44 for 378 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also ran 7 times for 69 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill caught 11 passes for 150 yards. Cincinnati secondary couldn't find an answer for A.J. Brown in the divisional round game. He 5 of 9 targets, but those misses were a lot of Tannehill's issues, not A.J. Brown's, for 142 yards. Can Tyreek Hill hurt them worse than what A.J. Brown did to the Bengals? Kelce caught 8 passes for 96 yards. Edwards-Helaire ran 7 times for 60 yards, caught a pass for 9 yards. Jerick McKinnon, dangerous. Didn't look good running the ball, 10 carries for 24 yards, but caught 5 passes for 54 yards and lost a fumble. The Chiefs did not get enough pressure on Allen. 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. We all saw what happened to Chris Jones when he was shifted to defensive end. when Melvin Ingram, the trade happened for Melvin Ingram and Chris Jones got to play where he wants to play, he became dominant again. And Cincinnati's offensive line allowed Jeffrey Simmons to record 3 sacks. What's Chris Jones going to do to them? Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, left on the opening drive, with a concussion. He's doing well and has a chance to play. He's still in protocol. Javarius Ward was hurt trying to tackle Allen late in the game. He's on the injured list right now, questionable, but he's expected to play. And then it comes down to what we expect from this offense. And I mean Cincinnati. And then that's really what I can't wait to hear Dutch talk about, because I know he attacks the player prop market. Cincinnati's offense averaged 37.3 points per game over their last 7 games. The 31 points they put up against Cincy were the second lowest total over that span. Cincinnati scored more than 31 points in only 6 of their 19 games this season. So first off, Dutchie, can the Bengals score touchdown for touchdown with the Chiefs?
Absolutely, I believe they can, Jim. I did lock in, the Bengals at plus 7.5 at -120 at BetMGM last night. I do like this. Yeah, I did lock that in, and I'm also on the first half as well, +4. I think this could be not only do I think that the Bengals have an elite quarterback in Joe Burrow. I believe they have an elite offense, an above average running back, above average tight end, and 2 stud receivers with a really good slot and Boyd. They're going to have their hands full. Realistically, I do like me some Josh Allen over Burrow, but pick or choose. But I believe they have more weapons on offense than the Buffalo Bills do. I just think they're loaded, and I believe the Chiefs will have not just a little bit of trouble. They'll have an awful lot of trouble. Obviously, the main thing to me is protecting Joe Burrow. We've seen it. I mean, you give up 9 sacks and still get out with a W. I mean, that's pretty impressive on Joe Burrow's part, and just overall from a coaching standpoint, but not impressive from an offensive line standpoint. So I believe they've been running through the dirt all week. I mean, everything's a plus except for that offensive line when we talked about it. When you look at the Bengals last game, they played a pretty good game against the Titans. They just couldn't keep them off Burrow. So I look for them, to do better. Honestly, as a group, they're going to have to keep Ingram and obviously Jones. Off Burrow, keep it under 4 sacks. 4 sacks. You don't want to go over, pretty much 4 to 5 sacks. I'll imagine. And of course, obviously, keeping control of the ball. Turnovers is obviously going to be big in both of these games. But you got to take advantage of every time you have the ball against a team like Kansas City, because I don't believe they'll be able to stop Tyreek Hill as well and Kelsey. But I do believe they'll be able to go right with them. And this game could be a spinning image. I don't know if it's going to be like that fucking masterpiece we seen last weekend, but I do believe it has the same realms in it. We have 2 elite offenses, 2 elite quarterbacks, and 2 defenses that really I don't trust either one of them, to be honest with you. I believe the Bengals have shown that they can play defense, and so have the Chiefs. But when you're going up against Mahomes and what they got and Burrow, what he got, I could only see points. And obviously, I do lean over, but a couple field goals in there could get fucking tricky. So I'm going to go where I believe the money is, and I believe that's the Bengals first half +4. I think they'll have I'm talking about the Chiefs having a little bit of a hangover. I mean, that was not just a big game. I mean, that was once in a lifetime type of game we've seen last week. So I believe they'll start off a little slow. I think they're going to have a little bit of hangover. So I've jumped all over that +4. Plus, also, Jim, these Bengals are a beautiful thing on the road. 6-0 ATS, last 6 against the number, first half on the road. Now, overall on the season, they're good on the road. 7-2 ATS last on the road overall. And the last game they lost was against the Browns, which they didn't have none of their guys really going. Burrow didn't play. So realistically, we could call it a 7-1 on the road against the number. 4-0 ATS, last 4 on the road to complete the season. So you got a team that likes playing on the road, does well, and when you back them on the road, you get the fucking bag. Now, also, first half here, they're 2-0 ATS first half in the postseason. Only allowing 9 points per game there against the Raiders and the Titans. I know it's a different animal here, but I do expect the Chiefs to start off a little slow.
Great breakdown from the Bengals player prop side of things. Do you think after Chase destroyed the Chiefs for 266 yards, it was unbelievable, that they're going to focus a ton of attention on him? and Higgins for that matter, and allow Boyd and Uzoma to cash player props. If there was a player prop for the Bengals that you would be interested in attacking, and I know they're not all out yet, who would it be, and why?
Well, what you touched on, Jim, is you kind of named it. Obviously, Chase, he's been balling out every game, and I'm sure they prepare to stop him every single game, and they haven't been able to do it. He's getting 100 plus, so I wouldn't be mad at anything with Chase's name next to it. But I'm gonna go to the guy pulling the motherfucking trigger, and that's Joe Burrow, over 285 and a half passing yards, Jim. I like it, minus 115. Love this look, averaging 296 yards in the 2 postseason games this year. Averaging 390 yards per game the last 4. You touched on it against them. These boys, they played real recently. 30 of 39, 446 yards and 4 touchdowns he got against these boys in Cincinnati. I don't think much will change. 300 plus will be easy for my man Joe Burrow, I believe, against this suspect secondary in Kansas City. So I love that look a lot, Jim.
There has been talk about whether these two quarterbacks will be able to break the record held by Foles and Brady in the Super Bowl, the Pats Eagles Super Bowl. So I like that look. I think that makes sense. Burrow over 285 and a half yards, passing yards, and Dutchie on the Bengals first half +4, and paid the juice for the hook on the Bengals +7.5, which I think makes sense too. I like it all. I like it all. Slatsy says Chiefs team total 31.5, Bengals 23.5. He leans to the Bengals to get there. And I'm right with you. I'm only making the one bet on the Bengals +7 full game. That's the only thing that I'm doing. But I like your look on the first half +4. And I think your Burrow prop makes a ton of sense. Is there anything else you want to add to Bengals Chiefs before we move on to the NFC?
I wouldn't be mad at the Mahomes rush prop. I believe it's like around 29. He's been getting there, man. He really has. So I wouldn't be mad at that. But he's going to come down to him. He'll probably do his thing. And I do probably expect Kansas City to be in the Super Bowl. You're just going to give me 7 to Hooker. I got to look at it, coming off that big game. And I just don't believe they'll be able to stop the Bengals. But yeah, man, I'm going to stay away from that. These are official plays I have bet. So I really like those 3 looks for this game.
I like it. Dennis Garcia says the pass yards over I get. And he says, especially if Cincinnati will be trailing, which is a possibility. And then they'll be airing the ball out. I like it. I like where you're at. And I hope you cash, baby, because that means I will too. Man. Let's start with the AFC Bengals Chiefs. Nice weather on Sunday. This game pops off at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it could shape up to be a classic. I think Burrow's not going to mess around here. I think he can keep this Bengals team in the football game. Do you take that one step further, Bebsy? Are you making moves on either? How do you plan to get paid on the AFC conference final action?
Honestly, I hate to say this because I want the Bengals to win. I do. I've told you I've started to love Joey Burrow. He's fun to watch. I hated the end of that Bills KC game, and not the overtime. That's what everyone's talking about, the overtime. I hated not being able to hold them for 13 seconds. I really wanted to see Buffalo play the Bengals here. I thought that might be a better game. Really worried here for the Bengals. So much so that I gotta take KC first half and full game. I just think the Bengals are supremely outmatched. I think they kind of caught the Titans off guard. They came out slow. They didn't play the game they wanted to. I really thought Henry would be the emotional lift. I knew he wasn't going to come out and run for 200 yards in his first game back from the broken foot. I just thought he'd be enough of a lift for that team. The offense came out flat. Defense played lights out. But I just think Joey Burrow, 9 sacks last week. Yes, the KC front is nowhere near the Titans front, but they still have good players on that defense. They've been playing better aside from the last few minutes of the game on Sunday. But look, this is Pavone said it last week, and I agreed with him then, and that it was kind of like this is enough for these guys. And I thought so too. And again, surprised me in the Titans game. I don't think they have any surprises left. I really think the Chiefs are just going to come out and smash this team. As soon as they won, I'm like, well, they've punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. I don't want to just count out the Bengals here. I really don't, but I do.
What did you make of Chase putting up 266 yards against them in Week 17? What did you make of that 34-31 comeback? Did that play at all in your analysis of this game, or do you feel that the Chiefs are just a different team right now in the playoffs, a different team at Arrowhead, and are going to run right through them?
Yes to both of those. I do think they're a different team because the Chiefs are in the playoffs, and they've been in this game for 4 years in a row. They have the coaching edge. They have the quarterback edge. They still have the weapons edge, as great as Jamar Chase is. You're still facing Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on the other side. 2 years in a row to the Super Bowl. They're going back again this year. Look, again, I want the Bengals to win, but that's not where smart money goes right now. And listen, I think they'll put up a fight, but KC's just going to come out and slowly edge. This will be a letdown from last weekend's games. Last weekend's games were all incredible. They came down to the last play of the game. Everyone was talking about, this is the best weekend of football they can remember, all that. This is not going to be as exciting a game. I think this is Chiefs domination. The Bengals, this wonderful story, the Cincinnati Bengals, finally runs out of gas. But shout out to Bootsy Collins, bass player from Funkadelic, who's a huge he's not watching. There's no way he's watching this. But I love that man, and he's a huge Bengals fan. So if he does get a hold of this, I'm sorry, Bootsy. It's been fun watching you get into football.
Chiefs first half available right now at -4, -108 at Pinnacle. Chiefs full game -7 at -106. Bebsy, I did move on the Bengals today +7. So we're going heads up there. Well, let's get right to work here, Alex. We have, starting with the AFC Conference Final, Bengals, Chiefs. Take it away. Can't wait to hear your move. Have you made one? Are you making one? What's your action?
I'm chilling right now. I will be on the Bengals at +7. The Bengals, if Vrabel, for whatever reason, doesn't go for 2 and they kick that extra point, the Titans are playing this game at home. And now we get the Bengals, I think at least. And now we get the Bengals getting 7 here at Arrowhead, where they've beaten the Chiefs already this year. It was I believe it was 38-35. Very, high scoring game, obviously. I am concerned, obviously, about the O-line. It was the first time in NFL history where a quarterback sacked 9 times and they end up getting the W. But I think the Bengals, everyone's already written them off. Everyone looks at this game. They see the Chiefs lost to them already. They're getting it. It opened at 6.5. So I see a lot of people teasing this down. I see a lot of this getting teased down. I see the Niners getting teased up. So we're gonna see a lot of pick'ems in this game, obviously, because a lot of people are doing teasers. I think the Bengals got it. I think they're live, man. I think they got a chance. Joey Burrow is he's a dog, dude. Going into that game, the Bengals didn't turn over the ball in 5 games, and they shouldn't have. It was a tip, right, and a pick that barely scraped off the ground to make. He takes care of the football. He has got the most electric receiver since, dare I say, Randy Moss. I mean, as a rookie. I mean, maybe Calvin Johnson. Okay, Calvin Johnson. I apologize, but this kid is a baller. He obviously does not take off like Josh Allen does, but he's just so smart, so crafty. If they get Mixon going, they're very difficult to stop. The Chiefs do not have the defense, the same defense as the Titans. I doubt they get to Burrow 9 times. Like, how do you get to Burrow 9 times and still lose the football game. It's crazy. There's a reason that only happened once. I think they got I think they got a shot here. I truly believe they got a shot. I think people feel it's going to be a blowout. For the most part, I feel people think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think so. They played them tough before. I know people are going to say, yo, it's the regular season. This is a revenge game. I think the Bengals got swag coming into this one, man. I think you beat a team, and that was a big game. That wasn't just like end of the season, that's it, whatever, seeds are already aligned. That was a big game, and they got the W. It wasn't like the Chiefs were sending out third stringers. That was a big game. I think the Bengals got life, man. They've come this far. They ain't thrown in the towel just yet. 7, man. I'll wait too. I don't think it'll get to 7.5 because I feel if it does, the Sharpies are gonna smoke it. But I will wait because I don't think it's gonna get to 6.5. And if it does, then maybe I'm gonna chill. But at 7, I'm in. But my money, I'm waiting until 7.5 for sure. If it does, boom. And I like the under. I know I'm gonna wait for that. I'm gonna wait for that too.
That will keep climbing. The public is all over the over in this spot. Dutchy paid for the 7.5 at BetMGM at -120. He paid for it, and I get that.
I get it at 122. It makes sense at that number, right? At 7.5, that's a huge number to pay the 10 cents. I would do that for sure.
Well, it's -123 here at Pinnacle. If you are interested in making that your official pick, as I've been tracking you all year, is that something you're interested in doing?
I'm gonna put it in at. I'll put it in. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm not gambling on this. This is not my money right now. Yeah, throw that in. -123, 7.5 for sure. I'll do that.
Plus 7.5 at -123 locked in. Wait, we're going to start with the AFC. I've done all my intros. I get to sit back and hear the pros get to work.
Everybody's spot on. I love what they're saying. I love to get. It's a fantastic lineup tonight. We're gonna make the chat some money. Everybody's gonna make money. We're gonna win big this week. That's the positive attitude got going forward. But listen, rust is a real thing. Just in case you didn't see that. Coming out of the number one, sitting at home waiting for these guys to show up. Last week with Joe Cool and, the other team, Green Bay got taken out. The Green Bay jinx is still in effect. San Fran did the number on them. But, kicking it over to Arrowhead, I'm going to tell these coaches one friggin' thing, though. If you guys, coaches, if you're watching the show tonight, when you got 13 seconds left in the game, squib the fucking kick already. Stop fucking around. Stop fucking around and kicking it to the end zone. Tampa and Buffalo. But, what a comeback by the Bucs, a little bit short, and what a game, Kansas City. I mean, everything was fantastic. Not going to find a final week of football, especially in divisional rounds like that. It's friggin' nuts. But let's talk about this KC game. So now, Joe Cool's coming to town in Arrowhead. Arrowhead, they had the game of the year. Everybody's talking about it. The coin flip, this, that, and the other. But a lot of opportunities presented themselves in the game for both teams to win the game. But I mean, it was very impressive what was played, what was left on the field. I think Kansas City left a lot out there. I think they're vulnerable in this spot here. Joe Burrow took the 9 sacks like we all knew. They were gamers. He stood cool and tall when he had to. Kudos to them, for doing the job that they did on the number one seed. Now, even though Titans, were the number one seed, they definitely weren't the best team. They just happened to fall. Things fell their way, and they got the opportunity to play at home in that spot. Not taking nothing away from because they had the injury bug. Maybe a little too soon with Henry and for things to gel for that team, but it didn't happen and it wasn't meant to be this year. So now we got a hot team rolling in to Kansas City. That's I haven't seen a wild card. I don't know. You might check my information on this, Jimmy. Has there ever been 2 wild card teams playing the Super Bowl? I don't think so.
I have to go
so.
back.
I know some wild card teams that won the Super Bowl and got there and lost too, but I don't think we've ever had 2 wild card teams playing in the Super Bowl at the event. But anyways, we might see that happen today. I'm not tipping my hat just yet though. But anyways, with the Bengals team, this team is a road warrior team. They have won on the road by an average of 8.5 points on average. Okay. and they're yielding about just under 17 points on the road. So the defense is up to it. Now they're coming up against, one of the hottest teams in the league right now for putting points on the board. But overall, the KC, they've been averaging right around 27 points, and they've been giving up about 26 points. So they're suspect. Their defense is definitely suspect, as we've seen, with Buffalo. Buffalo, Joe Burrow, you got to put him in the same class as Mahomes and what's his name from Buffalo?
Allen,
right? So, he's right there with these guys. There's no question about it. He just doesn't have the known elite talent in the skill positions, but he's developed some talent. That kid that played at UCF that caught the 4 touchdowns, what a game he had. He broke all the records.
Davis.
Phenomenal. And then there's another kid from Florida, the kicker for Cincinnati. He's a money kicker, McPherson. So there's talent all over the field there. So I think in this particular spot, though, we're gonna have to see Chase. I want to see a lot of Mixon getting involved. Coming out of the flat there. I think that's going to be big for him. We got Boyd in the slot. They got weapons all over the field. I think the defense might hold up a little bit early on. With the Kansas City, I think I think Pavy was saying, or was it Bevsy saying that Kansas City might have a little bit of a hangover, slow spot here. I think they're right on with that play right there. I think that we'll see a slower start. And it seems like most of these games get busy in the second half. And I'm not going to try to play a prop on the second half better score than the first half, but I do like the Bengals here getting the points. The way I broke the game down is I capped it at 5-49. So I like the under here. I like the under, and I like the side taking the 7.5. I think the Bengals are up to the task. I think it's going to be a high scoring game late, but as long as they can keep Burrow upright, which I think they will. I don't think they'll get to him as much as they did. I think they'll go a lot of empty set back, empty sets, and I think we'll see not a lot of decoys, but I think we'll see some opportunities for them to kind of play a little bit underneath and stretch the field with some big plays. And I think Kansas City's going to get their points. I think the score is probably going to be like 28-24 or maybe 31-27, something like that. But I still think it stays under the 50 to 55, 54. I think it hits like low 50s, high 40s. So I'm on the under, and I'm on Cincinnati plus the 7.5.
And Cincinnati plus the 7.5 right now costs minus 123 at Pinnacle.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll take the hook.
And then I can get you the 54.5. The under 54.5 is available at Bet365. Under 54.5 at minus 110. It has moved down to 54 at a few books. I like it. I like it a lot.
Roll hot. Don't forget now. This might be a revenge tour for Kansas City because Buffalo came in there and beat them early on and they took care of business. And now you got the same situation with the Bengals coming back to face them again. So even though Kansas City might walk away with the win, I'm not saying to bet Cincinnati to win, but I think there's value in the number, on both sides. I think there's value in the under, and I think there's value in the point spread.
I like it. I'm on Cincinnati plus the 7. I understand why you opted for the hook, and I think the under 54.5 makes sense. I do think it's going to get bet up by the public late, but it's tricky to wait for that because we see sharps on the under right now. Take it away, Pete. Big game.
Yeah, I won't do any analysis because I'm sure you've heard all the analysis over and over again ad nauseum. I'm probably thinking the same way that everyone else is thinking. Obviously, a huge home field advantage at Arrowhead Stadium, but you're going to give Cincinnati a 7 or 7.5 points? No, I can't do that. If you gave me a free bet on the side, definitely I would take the Bengals. Have I bet that yet? No. Am I going to bet it? Probably not, but probably I should. But if you gave me a free bet on the side, I would take Cincinnati. I have a question for you, Jimmy the Bag. Of all the handicappers you've interviewed, of all the handicappers you've talked to, of all the handicapping tweets you've read, anyone notable on KC, Jim? Minus 7?
We have one capper. We have Dutch Boy Fresh, Bengals first half, Bengals full game. We have Bebsy, Chiefs first half, Chiefs
Mhm.
full game. Pavone, Bengals. Big Ragu, Bengals. Give me
Yeah.
the bag, Bengals.
We were all, and so I'm guessing that 80% of the people you talk to are on the Bengals here. And of course, last week, everyone except one or two guys was on, including myself, was on the Titans, and that was wrong. So look, obviously, we know what Arrowhead's all about, right? But I don't see how you can possibly give Cincinnati this many points, especially with the extra rest day. I mean, Cincinnati, they had a bunch of injuries last week, but there was no question that the weapons on offense are huge, and that Burrow is a special quarterback. I'd be tempted to take Cincinnati team total over here as well. I guess I'm a little bit spooked by the possible overwhelming noise at Arrowhead that might shake things up. But Cincinnati has so many weapons on offense that I'd be thinking about the Bengals team total over as well. And then I don't know, man, as far as player props are concerned, the Bengals matchups, right? They struggle to cover tight ends. Travis Kelce, a beast, right? Legend, right? Whatever you want to call him. Touchdown for Travis Kelce I'm seeing is minus 154 at Pinnacle right now. He scored a touchdown each of his past 4 games. One of them he had 2. The Bengals struggle to cover him. I do think there's going to be a lot. I know a lot of people, I'm sure there's sharp money on the under, and a lot of, extremely admirable people are saying they expect a lower scoring game. But I thought that the Bills game was going to be, I talked about it in the video. I was like, the over seems kind of obvious. You don't want to overthink yourself. And I kind of feel the same way here. So there's going to be some touchdowns for KC. Kelce with a TD, minus 154. If you gave me one player prop for free, I would take that. It's just other than that, that's what I'm thinking, Jimmy the Bag. Do I have to make an official pick here, play here right now? I'm a little bit concerned about taking Chase passing props just because of what the Chiefs did to Stephon Diggs, in the last game. So you don't really know what the game plans are going to be. And in a spot like this, expect the unexpected. So those kinds of things can throw a monkey wrench into player props. But I think that the Bengals struggling to cover tight ends is fundamental. Kelce being a beast is fundamental. So Kelce with the TD minus 154 looks okay to me. What do you think about everything I just said, Jimmy the Bag?
Well, I think it all makes sense. You're the first person to bring up what the Chiefs did to Stephon Diggs, and it leads us to believe that after Chase goes for 266 yards receiving in Week 17 against the Chiefs, that Spagnuolo is going to do the exact same thing that they did to Stephon Diggs, which will open up others. Will it open up T. Higgins, or will it open up Uzoma or Boyd? So I agree with that look. And yes, Pete, I'm putting you on the spot for official picks here for the show. We want to know what they are.
Okay, then I have just one quick question. Have you ever been to Arrowhead, Jimmy the Bag?
I have never been to Arrowhead.
Okay,
No,
like
never been there.
It's so loud. Like, how loud is it? Well, you can't pass in the noise. I mean, it's a little noisy. Sure. Okay. Is it that loud? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, Burrow's not going to be able to find Chase. He's not going to be able to call the plays. Is it going to fuck him up that much?
Well, Burrow's a winner. He handles pressure.
He is.
So he's not one of those guys who's going to sit up there and panic. We're not talking about Nathan Peterman here.
Yeah.
So I think that he thrives on pressure. He's a fucking winner. I used to tell my girlfriend that when we first started dating. I was like, look, Tom Brady's a fucking winner. And you can't say anything negative about him because he's a fucking winner. He wins. Yeah. And there's something to be said about those guys who stand up under pressure. Now, if he didn't, open mouth kiss his son for 7 steamboats, that would help me talk highly of Tom Brady. And I hope that mouth is healed up, allowing him to kiss his son again. But let's stay focused here.
I'll give you a pick, Jimmy the Bag. Okay. Everyone's talking about how they're expecting this game to start out slow and then maybe the second quarter the scoring pick up. I'm not sure about that. I think maybe Cincinnati will have some plays planned, to avoid the noise and maybe strike early, set the tone for the game. I'll tell you what. I'll give you as an official. What?
Yeah, scripted plays off the top. You're absolutely right. It's a must. The first 20 plays, I bet you will be scripted. That also hasn't been brought up in the game. So maybe if we talked about the Chiefs' slow start, maybe the Chiefs' first half team total over is sort of me just tying the dots together from what you guys have been saying. But take it away.
All right. You want to pick Jimmy the Bag?
I do. I want to pick.
You ready? First quarter over 9.5 minus 123. A touchdown and a field goal. Let's do it. First quarter over 9.5 minus 123, touchdown and a field goal. Let's get that done.
First quarter over 9.5 minus 123. I like it.
And a pinnacle.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And I also think that you bringing up the team total at 23.5 is appealing as well. But I've already moved on the Bengals +7. Let me ask you this. We have 4 different cappers on the Bengals. I'm the only one that took the 7. The others paid for the 7.5. If you were to move on the Bengals right now, would you pay for the 7.5 or would you take the 7?
I would probably just take the 7 and eat a push if it lands on 7.
So official action from Pistol Pete Loshak, Cincinnati, Kansas City, first quarter over 9.5. Are you making the Kelsey TD official?
I don't know. What do you think? Give me a 10-second feedback and any comments in the comments section, and I'll make my official decision. Jimmy the bag.
Well, you'd have to look back at how Kansas City is being defending tight ends. And
the Bengals defending tight ends.
Excuse me, the Bengals defending tight ends. And I've been impressed with the Bengals secondary, both outside and inside this year. There were so many free agents coming in that it took them a while to sort of find themselves. Speaking of Eli Apple, I mean, I'd given up on him, and he's stepped up in a surprising way. He still makes a boneheaded, 15-yard penalty at some point, for unsportsmanlike and things like that. But the secondary has been much better both inside and outside than I expected. Yeah. And they've held people down. But then A.J. Brown goes for 142 yards on 5 catches. So, what is Tyreek Hill going to do to him? All
right. Thank you very much, Jimmy. I'm going to pass on it. At minus 154, why fuck it up? I'm going to pass on it. Thanks for the feedback, Jimmy the bag. He's a beast. He probably gets it. At minus 154, probably worth it to stay off.
Okay, beautiful. Great work. Let's get to work here. We start with the AFC, Zo. The AFC, we have Bengals. Chiefs, take it away.
Yeah, so I had the Bengals. I think it was week 17 that I was on the show, and I had Bengals. I think they were a 3.5-point underdog, or maybe a 4-point dog at home.
If we have 4.5, I think
maybe a 4.5. It could have been a 4.5, but the Bengals in that game won a lot of 50-50 balls, Jimmy. It was a lot of Burrow throwing it up to Chase and Higgins, and them winning 50-50 balls. And Kansas City played their typical Kansas City road game, kept it close. It was a great game. But when I look at this, I haven't decided 100% how to attack it yet, Jimmy, because I was looking at the team total for the Chiefs, but the lines I saw were 31.5, and I just don't like 31.5. I was hoping to get a 30.5 or a 30. It had to be under 31 for me to bet it. I'm going back to the well, though. Pringle is still plus 200 on his touchdown prop. And I'm going to go back to that well. He scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. And all the teams are still trying to cover double Kelsey and Hill. And I think Mahomes likes Pringle in the red zone. So I'm going to go back to that Pringle touchdown, plus 200. Went down 25 cents, but I'm not going to complain about that. And then I'm probably going to end up tweeting this game out on Friday, Jimmy, because I'm leaning Chiefs. I've heard a lot of your guests are all on the Bengals as a dog. Chiefs defense at home is just a much better defense at home, even though Josh Allen made them look terrible. I don't think you can say Joe Burrow is at the level of Josh Allen yet. I did lose the bet with Tennessee last week, but I talked about how bad Cincinnati's O-line was. Tennessee sacked them 9 times. And if it wasn't for Tannehill throwing 3 interceptions, I think Tennessee probably wins that game. And I will promise you one thing, Jimmy. Patrick Mahomes is not throwing 3 interceptions on Sunday. So if I can, I'm going to, like I said, I'll tweet it out. I'm not sure 100% how I'm going to attack it. It will be on a Kansas City angle, though. As of right now, I'm trying to find an angle with Casey that I like. Of course, they give us a 7 on this game, which makes it tougher to cap. if it was a 7.5, or I think they knew if they gave a 7.5, it'd be a lot of Bengal money. If they gave a 6.5, it would be a lot of KC money. So I think they're split in the middle. And so I'm not there yet on the game bet, but this is a tough game.
I like your look. By the way, I did find you a plus 210 on Pringle at Bet365. That's 40 cents better than what they're hanging at FanDuel at plus 170. So we have Pringle locked in at plus 210. And no, Max, Pete was not wearing the Elton John glasses. I apologize. I apologize. Pringle TD at plus 210 has Zoe on the board, and I will keep an eye out. So just tag me, and I will keep an eye out for your action. Take it away, my man.
So, Jimmy, I know earlier somebody talked about the issues that the Bengals have with tight ends. What hasn't been mentioned is the issue that the Chiefs have with tight ends. The Chiefs have had a serious problem giving up yards and touchdowns to tight ends all season long. And I think we're going to see something like everybody talked about. They're going to focus on covering the main target, the main threat downfield, shut him down, kind of like they did Diggs. And I think that's going to create a lot of check down opportunities, short attacks for my guy, CJ Uzomah. And if you look at his track record over the last several games, Jimmy, he was not even a factor early on in the season. But if you look at the last run, 8 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets. There's a loner 4 sticking out there, but then it's 6 and 6 again. They are using CJ Uzomah at the end of this season the way that they have not the rest of the year. So right before I jumped on here with you, Jimmy, I got over 34.5 receiving yards for my guy CJ Uzomah. I love that spot. And I see plus 230 for CJ Uzomah to score an anytime touchdown. Those are 2 props that I will take.
Well, let's lock you in for them right now. So it's Uzomah over 32.5, was it?
34.5.
34.5 receiving yards.
Minus 115.
Minus 115. And the second one was?
Anytime touchdown plus 230.
Ooh, I like that. TD plus 230. You still got some fight in you, Clint. You still got some fight in you. Uzomah is who you are focusing on, and that is the extent of your AFC action. You're going to leave it at the tight end?
That's it. That's it, Jimmy. Honestly, it scares me a little bit that all of us are on the Bengals spread. So I'm a little terrified to take it. I saw a 7.5 pop up on BetMGM, so people have got to be hammering the Chiefs. I want to take that 7.5 so badly, Jimmy. The Chiefs don't cover spreads. They haven't all season. They play close. They play tight. And now here we are in the biggest game of the year, and they're hanging a 7.5. It just feels like bait, Jimmy. I don't know. I'm spooked. I don't want to take it because I'm scared it's a trap.
Well, it's not everybody anymore. It's myself, Dutch, Pavone, Ragu, and on the other side is Zoe and Bebsy. So it's not, it's not all one-way action.
So the people I respect are on the Bengals. I love you, Zoe and Bebsy. I'm kidding.
All right, we have Clint making moves on Uzomah over 34.5 receiving yards, minus 115, and anytime touchdown at plus 230.
I wrote down a bunch of fucking stats, guys, because I always go into it. And at first I thought I wanted, it's Joe Mixon, first of all. We got to be straight on him for me. And at first I thought I wanted his rush yards. Then I thought I wanted his rushing receiving. And I ended up on his receiving yards at 27.5. I can't find his receptions anywhere. So if you could find his receptions, I'll take that. But his receiving yards were at 27.5, minus 115 on Caesars. I'm just going to read you all my stats and then you can deal with what you want. Kansas City's 21st in the rush, allowing 117 yards a game. But like Noli said last year, they're 31st in the league in yards per attempt, allowing 4.8. So otherwise, they're not fucking good, guys. The Chiefs defense hasn't been that good. Any type of real offense this year has scored more than 26 points. Am I going to take the Bengals to go over 23.5? Probably not. That's not my game. But Mixon's averaging 71 yards a game this year, and they have his rush prop at 57.5. That, to me, there's value. But then I started digging more into it. I know the Chiefs stopped Singletary and Harris. I'll hear that shit all day from a lot of people. And if you watch the Bills game, they were shitty-ass run play calls, straight off tackle, and they game scripted Singletary's rush out. So I figured, what the fuck, dude? I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be game scripted out. I don't think the Chiefs game script him out, to be honest. Last time out, he had 12 carries for 48 yards. I think they give him more than that this time out, but I don't want his rush yards. His last 4 games where the money's been on the line, he's averaging 6.5 targets, 5.75 catches, and 47 yards. 47 yards receiving. And against the Chiefs where he had 7 catches and 40 yards. It's not that he can't do it again. He will do it again. The Chiefs are number 8 in the NFL in blitzing. And we already seen that. Like, you'll hear it all this show. The Cincinnati Bengals tackles or this and this and that. Well, guess who's going to receive all them little dump-offs? Joe fucking Mixon. In the last 4 weeks, he's been doing nothing but eating. So I'm going to bang on his reception yards once again.
And you're right. I can't find receptions for some reason. Receiving yards I can find, but no receptions, which is strange.
So yeah, when his receptions do come out, I'm going to take that and I'll tweet it out. But if it's 4.5, it should be 4.5.
And what did you get the juice with the 27.5 receiving yards?
Minus 115.
Minus 115. I can find 27.5s, 28.5s, and 29.5s. Mixon over 27.5 receiving yards, and he will be tweeting out the receptions as well when they become available. Anything else you're looking at in the AFC Clash?
That's the only thing I wanted to get at, but I loved what Zoe was talking about with Pringle. I think all the other wide receivers are going to eat. I think it's going to be Hardman, Robinson, and Pringle. So all those guys are going to be good plus money. If you wanted to just split it up, chat, that's on you. But I think all 3 of those are going to eat in those.
I like it. 27.5 receiving yards, minus 115 for Sharpie. Let's get right to it. AFC, take it away. Cincinnati, Kansas City.
Yeah, this is the game I have a much more stronger opinion on. I've got 2 Cincinnati bets here. Apparently, I'm on the side of a lot of people that have been on the Pub Hub show tonight. So I'm on Cincinnati here, first half and full game, split it up half and half. In this one, of course, Cincinnati currently +4 pretty much across the board in the first half in this game, and also the +7 for the full game. The way I see it is I want to be splitting this bet up because I think there's a very real chance Kansas City is maybe not sharp early in the game. We talk about obviously winning the absolute epic that it was on Sunday night against the Buffalo Bills. It was just one of the best, playoff games you'll ever witness. It was physically, mentally, emotionally exhausting. Wonder if that's going to impact the Kansas City squad, particularly early. Slow starts in the playoffs is something we have seen routinely as well from Kansas City in the postseason the last couple of years. I think Cincinnati first half and even the full game I like too, because you look at the first matchup, and yes, Cincinnati won that game, and yes, it was in Cincinnati, but the Bengals offense had matchup edges that Kansas City's defense could not stop. And then you look at what happened to them last week from an injury standpoint in their secondary. Now, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badgers, practiced this week. He's going to play. Rashad Fenton has practiced this week, did not play in the divisional round. He's going to play. Javarius Ward got banged up a little bit last week in the game against the Bills. He looks like, though, he's going to play. They're all going to play. My question is, are they going to be 100% or close to it? And even if they are, they had a hard time matching up that secondary in the first matchup against the 3-headed receiving monster that is Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. It really threw a lot of problems at Kansas City, and I think that could be a situation that they struggle with here. I think Mahomes and the offense, is going to be a difficult challenge for Cincinnati. The Cincinnati offensive line certainly has to improve, but you got to think this coaching staff led by Zach Taylor is going to say, hey, we got away with one. The Titans treated Joe Burrow like a human whoopee cushion in that game. It was one sack after another. I think Burrow also learned a valuable lesson in that game. You can't lose the number of yards with sack yards that he did in that game. You got to get rid of the football. You can't be costing your team great field position and valuable real estate on the field. I think they'll learn their lesson. I think they'll shore up some of their blocking schemes on the offensive line here. And I think we've got a competitive game. And the betting markets have been slow to really warm up to this Bengals team. And really, they've been undervalued for a while now. They already have the win against Kansas City. A lot of people were discounting them, myself included, against Tennessee last week. and they found a way to win outright as underdogs. Joe Burrow's been terrific as an underdog his whole career with the Bengals. He's had a great ATS record as a dog. So I think we have a competitive game. And then, as Clint mentioned earlier, Kansas City's long-term failure laying more than a field goal. You go back and look. Kansas City's been dreadful ATS, laying more than a field goal the last couple seasons. So I like the dog here, and I'll split it up first half +4, full game +7.
I love hearing it. We can give you really low juice as well, really low vig over at Pinnacle. If you're interested in rolling with these two bets, we can get you the first half +4 at -104 and the full game +7 at -105. A question here, and an interesting one from Jared TG says, most cappers I saw last week were on the Titans. So did the Bengals prove something to you, or is it just because it's a +7 and not a 3.5? And I'd love to hear Babano, and I'll just touch on it quickly. But for me, and I wasn't on the Titans last week, although I was interested in them. It went from -3.5 to 4, and I just let go. I did think they were going to win the football game, but I didn't want to take it over 3, and I stayed off. But I think that the 7 is a nice number, and Babano and Clint talking about the Rams playing in a game for the ages and having to come back again a week later. And we know that Burrow is comfortable with loud noise. He talked about that. He's talked about.
He keeps on saying that the SEC stadiums he played in were way louder than anything he'll see in an NFL field. So take that for what it's worth.
He's a winner. He's a winner, and he now this is a very tough test. But I love the touchdown. I love the 7 points. Even if they're down, I know he's going to be firing away to get back in this football game, and I think they're capable of doing it.
Burrow could always show up even if they're down by 10 late. 100% true.
So how would you answer that question, quote unquote? So did the Bengals prove something to you, or is it just because it's a 7 and not a 3.5 from Jared TG Babano?
Yeah, I've heard that sentiment that Tennessee was horrendous last week, that Tannehill lost them the game. He sucked. He's the reason they lost. If they had another quarterback, they would have won that game, maybe. And look, Cincinnati's offensive line is going to have to play better here than it did last week. I mean, they got away with, I think you look at it, though, from a Cincinnati perspective, what did you give up? 7, 8, 9 sacks in that game, and you still won? I mean, that's pretty good. And let's not totally forget the fact that Derrick Henry last week, now granted, he's coming back from an injury. We don't, maybe that had some part in it, but let's tip our cap to the Bengals defensive front and the run defense they showed. 3.1 yards per carry for Derrick Henry last week. They kept him in check, and they made Tannehill have to really do a lot more throwing the football. I thought their defense was very good. I think their defense has continuously improved. I think we saw in the first meeting there was a shootout back and forth between these two teams. I'm tempted to give the over here in this game as I'm actually going to add that, Jimmy, the total as well. Over 54, because I did bet that, and I was thinking maybe I'll just go with the side here in this game. But I do think it'll be high scoring, this one. I mean, of the two games next Sunday, I think this is the one that you're going to see some points in between these two teams. So I do like this over the total with the Bengals and the Chiefs. I'll go with that as well. And like I said, I think too many people are saying that was bad Tennessee and not good Cincinnati last week. I saw a good defense. I saw them stop the run. I saw a team that overcame 9 sacks and won a game, and they put drives together when they had to. And the thing we've got to also recognize with Cincinnati, and this is another thing where you're getting 7 with them in the full game, 4 in the first half. They don't have to drive down the field very far to put points on the board. Why? Because they've got this lights out rookie kicker and Evan McPherson. You just get that ball inside the 40-yard line, you pretty much got an automatic 3 points waiting for you. That's how good he is. This guy doesn't miss from 50 plus. He's got ice water running through his veins. They, like I say, get inside the 40. They got points on the board with that kicker. He's just not missing anything right now. Something to keep in mind as well. Jimmy's muted. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, it is a witching hour is over here, but still there's a little bit of issues with the kids. Babano, well put. I think that was really well put. And this is from Dennis Garcia. Says, I was on Cincinnati last week because Tennessee were frauds. Everyone knew this. I might be on Cincinnati this week because getting a touchdown with elite quarterback seems appealing, though. Unlike Tennessee, KC is real. Here we go. Just one look for you?
No.
Okay.
Well,
okay,
I've got a couple. I mean, obviously, We'll start the AFC, obviously, because that's what we're doing all night. And I'm going to take the Bengals because everyone's been doing it. I'm on the Bengals. You're on the Bengals. I think literally everyone that's been on the show has been on the Bengals. I think 7's too many points. I think it's going to be a fun game, a close game. Ian said backdoor Joe Burrow. I like that.
I don't think he likes that. I don't think he likes that, by the way.
I think I'd argue that Joe Burrow's a backdoor kind of guy. I think
he would take offense. He's a winner.
We'll see. He is a winner. He is a winner, but I'm sure he likes the backdoor as well. But I think it's going to be a good game, fun game, close game. So give me the 7 points. No problem there. I have I shouldn't say I said shout out to Bill Simmons, playoff manifesto of gambling. Take a dog. If you can't take the dog unless you think the dog's going to win. I think the Bengals definitely could win. But the play that no one's talked about is in this game. And what did we see last week that was so just shocking? We saw a fourth quarter that absolutely blew our minds. They scored like 40 points in the fourth quarter, like 2 minutes, Jim. The over-under in the fourth quarter is 14.5 points. Give me the over 14.5 in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a fun fourth quarter. I actually, Jim, I was so confident in my NFL capping this week. I told you on Tuesday, Jim, should I give out my NFL picks on the show today? And you're like, no, wait for the NFL Pub Hub. And that's where my heart grew about 3 sizes. And I saw this line. It was at 13.5, 13. Now it's up to 14.5 on Bovada. I'm still taking it, Jim. I know you have a rule about taking ass end of lines and such, but I think that honestly just makes me feel a little bit better because I think that these teams will go out firing in this fourth quarter. They'll want to play for everything. If the Bengals are down, they'll come out firing. I just like a high-scoring fourth quarter in this game.
Kansas City, Cincinnati, fourth quarter over 14.5. What is the juice associated with that?
Let me double check for you. I believe it was just a staggered or regular minus 110, but let me double check for you. But yeah, no, I think that's weird, Jim. If you bet a lot of fourth quarter team totals in your life, minus 110, 14.5. So minus 110.
Minus 110. You are locked in. Jose, you are locked in with 2 looks. And it's not all of us on the Bengals. Zoe and Bebsy are on the
Bebsy's on the Bengals, then I feel on the Chiefs, I feel better. Great. Good.
I thought you might. I thought that might be music to your ears. Okay, let's keep rolling.